Welcome back to another episode of Night Trailers. Joe and Dad, and Dale will be talking about the past few hunts.
Yeah, we've had a busy week.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot to talk about. Weather's finally gotten semi-right in Mississippi. We got a little bit of a cold snap going on.
For now.
For now. Yeah, we basically get last week wasn't bad, but then we have like 4 cold days of this cold front moving in.
Yeah, because down here, Christmas is normally in the 70s.
Yeah, I think after Wednesday, the highs get back up in the 60s, upper 60s, 70s, and it doesn't go back down. I think some of the mornings are going to be nice, but it gets warm. So I guess we'll jump right into it. Got a lot to talk about. I think on the last podcast, I called Tuesday morning would be the morning just based off of the weather. I think I even said it. I was like, Tuesday morning is the morning.
Yes.
I was off by a day. It was Monday morning.
Oh.
Monday morning was, actually, I went by myself.
Today is also Monday.
It is. Today is Monday too. But last Monday, I think you were at Mom and Pawpaw's because
Yes,
we
I was.
recorded that podcast, put it out, and you went there. So I went by myself Monday, and it had been really slow up until that point. And then I ended up seeing a whole bunch of deer. I think I ended up having a doe come through, kind of ran across the field. And the way this hunt lane is that we like to hunt,
It's basically a road.
yeah, we've
It's a
talked about
road.
it. It's 430 yards, and it's probably 15 yards wide, 10 yards wide.
Yeah.
It's not wide at all, but you can see for a long ways. And I've talked about it. Hardwood bottom on the right with a creek, pine thicket on the left, just a natural funnel. They cross at 40, they cross at 80, they cross at 140, 250, 300, 430. Just really all kind of depends. So you just have a lot of options there. Well, I saw this doe kind of run, or I saw this deer run past, and I'm set up. I got, it got a lot going on in
Got
the
the
shooting
baby
house.
razor.
Yeah, I
got
got
the gun.
the baby razor, spot and scope.
Both out one window.
I'm trying to talk. Got the baby razor out the window with the All-in and the iPhone 17. Got the gun set up on a tripod. And just kind of sitting there and watching and filming and all this stuff. And, in 400 yards away, 300 yards away, they move pretty quick across the field. So I saw one dart across, and I get up and I'm kind of ready. And I hit record, and then shortly after that, a buck runs across. And when I say run across, I'm talking
like how your mule deer was, like hauling it, barreling.
Yeah, absolutely, just moving across. And I got the, I hit record the time I see the deer, and I think it picks it up halfway across the field and in there. And a few minutes go by, and another deer runs by, and then I see another deer, and then another deer runs by. And long story short, ended up having 4 bucks run by. One of them being, I think, one of my target deer. I had to slow it way down and take a look, because when I was recording, I can slow it down and take a look, but I didn't have an opportunity to shoot any of these deer. They were moving too fast.
Not at all.
But got some video of them, so that was cool. But it's video's not that great. But yeah, so I mean, they was on, and I guess there was a doe they were after over there. Ended up seeing a few more deer, but nothing super crazy. Rest of the week was kind of meh. Wasn't a whole lot going on. I think we saw maybe like button bucks and spikes and stuff like that. I mean, it wasn't anything super duper crazy. And then Thursday night rolls around. What happened Thursday night?
Just when we went to the pipeline?
No, that's the night before.
What did we do Thursday?
Thursday night, the Big 10 point popped back up on camera, and I haven't seen him since September the 2nd, maybe. He's disappeared. I didn't know what happened to him, and he's a big mainframe 10. He's an exceptional deer for where we're at. I mean, you place him and put him anywhere else, and he's probably an average deer, but kind of where we're at, he really stands out. He's a great-looking deer. He actually popped up Thursday night on a pipeline, which is an open, kind of grass field.
It's where the gas is.
Yeah.
There's like pipe on.
Looked like he was with a doe, and I checked the wind, and the wind was right for that spot in the morning.
And me and Dad were like, we're going.
Yep. So, we've gotten kind of lazy this year. We've been hunting in a shooting house with a nice heater and tripods and all this. And I mean, a lot of times I just leave that stuff in there because we frequent it. I don't have to tote it, because when you tote a bog pod and a heater and a backpack and Joe and all that, it starts to become a lot. So we've been leaving that in there, and we made a kind of game time decision that, hey, we're going to go sit over here. Because, if he's with the doe, he's around, maybe he's following her around. It's only a 40, 50 acre block of woods that they're in and kind of creek, and it's kind of isolated. So if they're in that pocket, maybe they're hanging around. So I had to figure out how to mount the gun up, because we're not going to freehand a shot
No.
out of a blind. Because you can shoot up to 300 yards, but actually a little more than 300 yards in this spot, and no idea where they're going to come. So I started thinking about it. I actually grabbed my Peak 44 tripod that I normally use on my spotter. Yeah, it's a Peak 44 tripod. The Seekins Element Hunter actually comes with an Arca adapter mounted on the bottom rail already. And so I was able to, get the Arca mounted up. It's just, it doesn't give you the best articulation. It goes left to right, but the way you have to mount it, it's almost like the Arca is mounted backwards on the Seekins for this tripod head. So you can go left to right, but your articulation up and down goes away. Anyway, long story short, got it mounted where I was comfortable with it. So we went there Friday morning, got all set up. I told Joe we were getting in super early. I didn't want any disturbance. We're actually hunting out of a ground blind here, kind of tucked in on the other side of the creek. So the wind's right. We have a big creek in front of us. I think, Joe, you said what? The creek bank's probably 20 feet.
Yeah, we did like a guess on how far. I said 20. You said like 15.
Well, no, the edge of the creek is 20, but like straight down to the bottom of the creek.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, okay. It's a pretty deep creek. I'd probably say that the creek bank itself is probably 15 to 20 feet tall in this particular spot. So it's a pretty substantial creek. We're on the downwind side of the creek if you're hunting with a south wind. So yeah, you just have a lot of cover. It's a really nice spot. And I was like, Joe, we're going to get set up pretty early. Like, I don't want any disturbance. So we get there 45 minutes. We're set up and ready easily.
Yeah, it's 45 minutes.
45 minutes or more before legal shooting light.
5:45.
And Joe, of course, jumps in and finds his way to go to sleep.
Very uncomfortable.
So he's sleeping and I'm watching, and we didn't have any action, actually. I think legal shooting light was like around 6:22, give or take. And it was kind of, I thought it would be a little bit slower. It was actually cold that morning. This would have been Friday morning. And then an hour goes by, a little more, nothing happens. And then I'm like, Joe, I see horns. I'm like,
by this time I'm awake.
Yeah, he is awake, which is impressive because he's normally out for a couple hours. But the way it worked is the deer was working the creek bank downwind from everything, because this creek runs all the way through the property. So he had apparently been working the creek bank, so his downwind side was protected, and just worked his way all the way down this creek bank. And before he got to the pipeline, he stopped in a big old brush thicket, and I picked up the very tips of his horns in the brush.
And this is me. Dad's like, "There's a deer. It's a buck." I'm like, "What? Where? Huh? What?"
Yeah, Joe couldn't see it, and where he was like Joe said, the from our blind to the opposite side of the creek is 20 yards. And this deer, I think where he was at in the brush was probably about 40 yards.
40 to 30.
And so I saw the tips of his antlers, picked up the binos, looked, I was like, that's a shooter. And it all happened so fast. I'm like, that's a buck we're going to shoot. And he pops out, and I'm like, yep. I had the binos on him as soon as he popped his head out. I was like, that's a shooter. And he actually, once he hit the pipeline, he was moving actually kind of away from us to the left. So he was kind of walking to the left, but away from us. And I was on the gun. We didn't, to be honest with you, we didn't even really think to get Joe on it. And I don't think we would have had time to move because the blind is pretty tight.
Yeah.
So I jump on the gun, and I can tell it's a shooter. Put the dot on him and pull the trigger. And Joe tells me he kicks and he runs off. And then we hear him crash. Like
we hear like,
yeah, we hear him crash. It was a loud and heavy. So I felt pretty good about it. And we're stoked. Joe's actually shaking. He was so excited. And
so this is what the deer did. He walked out a few yards. He looked to his left, which is he's looking at us. And then he walks a few more feet, looks to the right. And I'm like, this is me. Who's shooting at me? Are you?
Yeah.
Like, as soon as I asked it, Dad
he was
fired. He said,
he was already 3/4 of the way across the pipeline when I shot him.
Yeah.
He wasn't far from getting into the woods, because when he started moving, he was moving.
Yes.
And so once the shot, we felt really good about it. I mean, I was like, "All right, Joe, you're up," because I mean, it was 7:20-ish,
7:45.
7:45.
Yeah.
So 7:45. So I mean, there's plenty of day left. So kind of rearrange some things. Joe was very engaged at this point.
Like literally 2 hours, and we.
And when I say rearrange, like you have to, you know, I guess one thing we've never really talked about is when me and Joe are in the shooting house, I'm always to the right.
Because
And this because I'll shoot left-handed. I have no problem shooting the rifle left-handed. Actually, most of the deer we've killed since Joe have been hunting, that I've killed since Joe has been hunting with me, I've all shot left-handed.
Yes.
I don't mind it. I actually shoot pretty good
Like
left-handed.
those 2 does that you shot G8, you shot them both.
And I am right-handed, and so I predominantly like to shoot right-handed, but I have no problem shooting left-handed. I mean, all the deer I killed last year were all left-handed, and those were 350 plus yards, so not an issue. So when I say we have to rearrange everything, I scoot a little further to the right.
And I'll scoot further to the
And
right too.
yeah, that way Joe's directly behind the gun.
And
Instead of getting up and having to move towards the gun, he's better positioned on the gun. And then he realized in this particular setup, he liked sitting down to shoot.
which I've never done.
He normally, because he's been so short, he's normally,
Oh, thanks a lot.
you were little, he's normally so short he had to stand up to get a shot out of the window. He couldn't sit down, but in a ground blind, you actually can sit down. And so we readjusted all that and got it to where if a deer walked out, Joe was on the gun and ready. Did we see anything else?
No.
No, but we gave it another, I think 2 hours,
Yeah.
which felt pretty good. I mean, we could have sat longer, but gave it a solid 2 hours. And we get down and go look in the field, and believe it or not, where I thought the deer was standing, me and Joe don't find any blood. And you know, knowing the area kind of helps, because this creek actually wraps around the pipeline. So from where he was to where he could run before he hit a creek,
Well, it's
75 yards, maybe. It's not long, not far, I should say. So like, you know what? We heard a bunch of stuff. We're gonna get in here. I didn't see any blood, and we got in the woods and actually kind of walked towards the creek, which would be moving
to our left.
to our left, which would be moving kind of away from the pipeline. And we didn't see any blood, didn't see the deer, didn't see anything. And I'm like, when we go, we know he hit this deer.
We know the deer's dead.
And it's pretty thick in here, I will say. So we backtrack just a little bit to where we can walk and start moving south, actually. And so we start walking, and then what happened?
Me and you both looked left, and you said, "There he is." I'm like, "Yeah, that's him."
Yeah,
Then we start running over there, and then on the tree, there's this big blob of blood. Like, I think it's like his lung or something.
Yeah.
And then right below it is where his antlers, like, he crashed so hard that he
broke the tip
broke
off of
the
one
tip
of
off
his
his
veins.
antlers. And then he scratched the tree up real bad, and then he got caught, and then that's where he died.
Yeah, he was wrapped around the tree. But once we saw him, he didn't run 40 yards, 45 yards,
45 yards.
maybe. But once we actually got eyes on him, it's like, oh, there's the blood, and there's just a massive blood trail you could follow. And like Joe said, he when he crashed, he hit a tree, and it looked like the bullet did its job. But then, so we get down there, and it wasn't the 10-point we were after, but it was a 10-point.
Yes. Well, I picked 11.
Yeah, it was a 10-point. It's actually, it would have been 11 in the sense that it didn't have a left brow tine.
Because it broke.
No, that wasn't broke. It never grew.
Mhm.
It had 5 on the right side, and it had 4 on the left side. But the G2 on the right side is kind of like halfway between where the brow tine and the G2 go. It's weird. And then it comes up and it has a split. And so he has a lot of character.
Yeah, he has crab claw.
That's a split. And so that's how it's basically a mainframe 9 with a split G1 to make it a 10. There's a little bitty nub on the bottom, like a little kicker.
I don't count that.
You count, that's what you were counting as the 11th point.
No, I was counting the broken brow tine.
No, there is no brow tine. There isn't broken. It never grew.
Mm.
There isn't anything there. So, but he ended up being a nice deer. I mean, he's not a massive deer, but he was an old deer. just from the looks of it. And this great deer is happy to take it. And we end up, we actually drive to this spot and go through a separate gate. So it's not by camp. I had my game cart in the truck. He wasn't a couple hundred yards probably from where I parked. Probably 400 or 500 yards from where I parked.
Yeah.
And so we just grabbed the game cart, crossed the creek, went and got him. But before we did all that, of course, we took all of our pictures. Joe was like, I want to know where he was standing in the field. So we tracked the blood all the way back to the field, and we just didn't walk up far enough.
Yeah.
I was thinking when he came out, he was at like 40, 50 yards.
And you thought he just walked straight.
And I thought he walked straight, but it happened so fast. He was walking away from us while he was crossing. He was probably more like 75 or 85, and we just didn't go down that far. There's blood in the field, just a great blood trail all the way. So really happy with those 130 grain terminal ascents out of the 6.5 PRC.
Yes.
So we, take the game cart, go back. Joe cuts me a path with the MKC chopper, get it loaded up on the game cart. And I got a camper shell on my truck with a deck bed, so I can't really pull them up in there. We cross the creek, get it all back, and have to throw them on the tailgate.
Redneck.
Yeah, and we don't have to drive far on a road, and it's very isolated, not a lot of folks. So we threw them on the back of the truck and got the camp and got all that taken care of. Cloud 9, basically. Get excited to finally be on the board. Finally start seeing some deer.
That was your second time being on the board.
No, I know.
But for a buck first.
Yeah, I'm talking about a buck. And so did all that, got them cleaned up, and we got back in the stand that night, right? Or I did.
You did.
No, I didn't. You would have had to, because I can only kill 1 buck per day.
Did we? Yeah, we did. We didn't see anything.
Yeah, we went with you on the gun, and we didn't see anything.
Mm-mm.
And then, so that was it. And then that was Friday. Saturday, we were back in the same spot because the wind was right, and it honestly felt like it was going to be better than it was.
And we saw one doe.
Saw one doe, one old skinny doe.
Yeah, she had a long neck, and you could see her ribs.
Yeah.
But we literally watched straight, so we know she's not starving. So we don't.
So not much there. And then I went that afternoon because Joe didn't want to go.
Well, I went present shopping with my mother. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's right. Joe went present shopping with his mother. And I don't think I saw anything. And so then the wind kind of changed in this particular spot. Like if the wind isn't right, I don't really want to sit there, especially if you're after that really old deer. Even though you got a long shot, like you just don't have a lot of land to play with. So we ended up moving back to the stand that we've been hunting, predominantly just because, like I said, we don't have a lot of options anymore. So it's not like you can go pick every, we used to have tons of options with almost 1,300 acres.
Yeah.
We're down to 400, and some of that is really thick and not super huntable. So we went back to our spot, and why don't you pick that up? This would be Sunday morning.
So we wake up, we head there, and then routine, I go,
yeah, he goes straight to sleep. I've noticed, and you don't know this, but when you make those noises like that, like the editing and stuff edits some of those noises out as like, I guess, back noise.
Yeah.
So they hear you go, and I sounded like, and then it just goes quiet and you don't hear like the snorts and stuff. So just so you know. Okay. And if you ever hear that on the other podcast, Joe is making like sleeping noises that I think the editing actually cuts out when we do these. So it just kind of makes you sound funny.
Okay. And now.
So yeah, we get there, Joe goes to sleep.
Yes. Thank you very much. So I go to sleep. We didn't really. Did we see anything? Did you see anything while I was asleep?
Yeah, that's the whole story.
No, like my first time falling asleep.
Yeah.
What was it?
I don't remember. I mean, it was was it the Forky?
Oh yeah, it was that deep Forky.
It was like a decent 4-point Forky. So I saw that. And then at about 7:55, I started seeing deer.
And then I fell back asleep, and then I woke up again. So Dad told me there was a deer.
No, wait, hold on here.
And I'm not to the point.
Okay.
And then he's like, "Don't fall back asleep." Well, I fell back asleep.
Why? I said, Joe, I don't want you to fall back asleep because I've seen 3 deer in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was like, the deer were popping out. I don't remember what all I saw, but I said, "I've seen 3 deer in 5 minutes." I was like, "Don't fall back asleep."
Well, I fell
And
back asleep.
he fell back asleep hard.
And then so, what about how long passed?
11 minutes.
11 minutes went by,
I
and then
I
dad
I was seeing deer at 7:59.
dad went, "Joe, Joe, Joe,
No,
Joe,
hold on,
Joe."
hold on. So I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, I see deer working a scrape right in front of me that I had no idea that popped out. It was to the right,
About 257 yards.
and it had a bunch of it's kinda like the right of this field has a bunch of greenery and brush, and in the morning, the shadows are moving and the sun's coming up. So I didn't see this deer pop out until he was working a scrape, and I look at him like, "That's a good buck for Joe." And, like, I hit Joe, I'm like, "Joe, there's a deer." He doesn't move. I have to hit him 5 times. I'm like, "Joe, there's a deer." And finally, I'm knocking his knee pretty good. I'm like, "Get up, there's a deer." And he finally gets up, and I have it on I have it on video. I got good video of the deer working the scrape and, like, trying to get Joe on the gun, and then I range it 'cause, I had the gun set up for a little bit further than that. It's 257, so I put the gun on 257.
I got it from here, and I didn't know Dad had the gun zeroed. The deer was perfectly broadside. He was yelling, "Shoot," but I couldn't hear him, so I didn't shoot because I didn't think he had it zeroed. But if I knew that, I would've shot him, and then so he pretty
Well, the
much
lesson that you need to learn from that is if I say shoot.
I didn't hear you.
Uh-huh.
Like, seriously.
So the deer's at 257
Yeah.
yards working a scrape, and I'm trying to get Joe to shoot.
And about a second later, the deer turns around and starts walking
Away from us where
away
all you
from us,
see is
yeah.
its rear end.
And then he's kinda crossing to the left of the field. He never gives me a shot, he never stops. Dad goes, "Meh." Again, that
Yeah,
will probably edit
and
it out if it does.
I make a really loud, your standard deer stop call out of your mouth.
Yeah,
And this is as he's walking away from us.
and then this deer never stops. He keeps walking, and then Dad just starts hammering on that grunt call.
I have a grunt call hanging there, so I grabbed it and I hit it 4 or 5 times as hard as I absolutely
And
could.
right before that, he zeroed me in for where the deer is, but the deer never stopped, and I was lined up. The deer was probably about 280 yards, and I laid the shot a little, and I go,
So the deer, I wasn't overly excited about the shot, but it was all we had, and the deer was hard quartering away
which I did not know.
because, I don't know how you don't know because you're
Because
looking
there
through
was
the
literally
scopes.
some brush in
No, there was not.
Yes, there
No, there's brush.
kn
There's
you know
brush on
there's
the
brush.
there's brush on the left side of the field, but the deer was not covered by the brush. You
Yeah,
just
you're right.
get so excited you don't know what broadside is.
No, don't,
But the deer was extremely hard quartered away.
which I did
But
not.
he had already crossed the entire field, and he was about to walk off of where Joe could shoot it off. And I didn't know Joe was about to rip a shot off, but he did. Uh, and when, the deer is visibly hit, but it's weird, he got hit and his entire back half drops.
Instead of going up, which
Yeah,
me and Dad immediately thought it was a backhand shot.
I thought it was a terrible shot. And the back legs drop, and then he comes up, and then he drops again as he's running off, and he's up and out of the field. And I think I told Joe, I said, "I think you hit him in the butt or the rear leg. Like, we're just gonna have to see. I don't feel good about that shot." And luckily, I had the spot and scope on him. I recorded the whole thing. I actually learned my lesson the other day when I had all those deer running by super fast because I would after all that was settled down, I'd put it in iMovie and slow it down to try to see what bucks were what because they were only in my view for like a second and a half. Well, I was filming all that in HD at 30 frames per second, and I know nobody really cares about this, but it's a key point to the story. And when you would do that and slow it way down and try to zoom in and look at the horns, everything would kind of get a little fuzzy, not grainy, but fuzzy, and you couldn't really decipher anything. Those deer at about 300. So I've been setting the phone on 4K 120, so 120 frames per second. So I filmed this whole thing at 120, and so we're looking at it, and I'm watching the video back and over and over and over again, and like I can't really tell where Joe hits, but it looks like a rear leg hit to me, and I sent it to some buddies. They all said the same thing. Already, I told Joe, I was like, "We may have to get the dogs on this one." I'd already texted the guy I know with the dogs, just giving him a heads up. He's like, "Yeah, just let me know." And we ended up sitting for another 2 hours because there's plenty of deer around.
Very much so.
So I'm on the gun and just wait, and I don't know if we see anything or not.
No, we don't.
I don't
Well, oh, we saw one doe pop out, and then she went right
That's
back
right.
in.
Yeah, we saw another doe. So we sit a good bit, and, later on, like, I didn't slow that movie down. So I actually grabbed the phone, put it in iMovie, slow it down as far as it can go. It turns a 3-second video into a 29-second video,
Wow.
26 second video, and you can see everything, and that 120 frames per second is beautiful. Because 'cause I'm watching the shot over again, and when Joe shoots and it hits the deer, I can see it impacted somewhere in the rib cage, and I can see ripples all over its body.
And remember, it's hard quartering.
Yeah, it's hard quartering. So I'm like, Joe, and I tell Joe, I'm like, you actually hit that deer better than I thought. It wasn't rear leg, it was middle body. Oh, and I was having a hard time because the way the ripples looked, that it may have been lower belly, but then there was a spot kind of in the middle that almost looked like a hole that I thought. Anyway, I'm like, that deer's hit a lot better than I thought. So I started feeling a lot better about it.
Mhm.
And I sent that to the dog handler just so you can kind of know what the shot we're looking like. I said, hey, I don't know, even if you did gut shot him or hit a liver or something, I mean, it's still could be a little bit of an issue finding this deer.
Yeah.
So we sit feeling better about it, but I told him we're not celebrating anything just yet. And so we get down, we go walk down there, pinpoint where the deer was because he made an absolute mess just kicking up leaves and dirt. So it wasn't hard to pinpoint where he
No.
was. And we get down there and what do we find?
So we find this little patch of blood.
Not
Mm,
patch.
No, like
Drops.
drops. And then so it looked really dark. It kind of looked like liver blood. So we there was a little bit on a little spot, and then there's a little bit on the fern. There's a little bit on a stick, and we kept following that. We didn't get 15 yards in the woods, and I start working to my left because I'm like, I see disturbed ground, so I start working to my left, and and Dad didn't want to push him, so we backed out, and then we
Yeah,
called
so
the
hold on. So there's a reason why, right? Is we had like a few drops of blood where you shot him. It kind of looked dark. We had a few drops of blood here, a few drops of blood here, and every drop of blood was getting smaller and smaller. We were 12 yards into this blood trail.
yes,
And the other part of this too is like we're on a property line. Like I don't want to go pushing too hard, things like that, because if the deer looked like he was hit pretty good, so he could have been battered up. I'd rather be safe than sorry and get in there and bust this deer. So I ended up backtracking. Once I saw like a little bitty drop of blood, and then we looked for 10, 15 minutes and couldn't find another speck of blood, I was like, no, that's it. We're backing out. We're just gonna get the dogs, be safe. And so we back out. And my text my guy with the dogs, and he was like, yep, I'm leaving. I'll be there in 30. And we meet him. We get
and he pulls out his dogs, Rowdy, Huck, and
Hank.
Hank. So they get out, and then we hop on the Fuller. We head down there. He says that he bet the deer's dead within 400 yards. So we get down there, and so we get to the road. We go down the road, and then we get to the spot, and then the dogs immediately know what to do. They get on the scent. They start following it, and then we sit there for about
We barely have
30
we
seconds.
barely have a conversation.
1 minute, and then he's like, the deer's right there. Like, he literally sees the dogs, and he's like, the deer is right there. And then so we walk over there, and sure enough, there's a deer. And also, the funny part is Dad was putting a camera for the scrape, on the scrape, and turns out the deer was straight ahead of Dad when
Yeah,
he was
when I was
putting
putting
the
this camera on the tree, I was looking at the deer and didn't know it. He ran left and actually
like I thought.
Yeah, well, no, he ran left off of our shooting lane and then turned left and was actually almost made a circle back to the lane that we were shooting out of. He was 25 yards off the lane and probably 40-ish yards from where he went in at, and he just made kinda like a half moon and ended up crashing in a briar thicket.
We get this guy for the easiest tracks.
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible, but we recovered the deer. He was dead within seconds of Joe hitting him.
I
And
finally conquered the shots of quartering.
yep, and it was a nice little 8 point, and we drag it back right there. And I was real curious how the bullet performed because we haven't shot that 6.5 PRC at anything over 140 yards,
Yeah.
and I was real curious. And so when I get to skinning, it was absolute devastation. You know, now knowing where the shot was and how the deer was angled, Joe actually couldn't have made a better shot. He came in probably 4 ribs back, and the reason we didn't have any blood is because it was kind of mid body, so it was a little bit higher, and it exited somewhere out of the front. It almost looked like it kind of exited.
Hold on.
Well,
Once we started skinning, I noticed that there was this hole in his neck.
uh-huh.
And then we were like, the bullet exited through his neck.
It may be, yeah, or fragments.
Yeah.
But the bullet performed incredible. I mean, Joe got the lungs. There was 0 gut matter. There was no gut shot, no nothing.
And we were like, what did I hit before we saw the lungs? Because the liver was perfectly fine.
Yeah, liver and heart was fine, but the 2 lungs were absolutely destroyed. And I will say this, the terminal stents do a lot of, like, shock damage, so there's a lot of bloodshot, but it absolutely performed 280 yards, and it was a great shot. And the other thing we didn't talk about is our deer normally aren't that big. I don't
No.
know, I guess we had a good spring, like a lot of
Yours was
places.
190.
Mine was 190 pounds, and Joe's was 108, 180, 178, 180.
187. maybe.
No, it was 178 to 180. I actually didn't believe Joe's weighed that much, so I pulled it down, re-zeroed the scale out, and put it back up, and it was the same thing. And that's no that those I know if you're listening up north, that's not a big deer. Down here, we have mature bucks that weigh 150 pounds, 155 pounds. So we were really excited about that.
And like for does, we get 100-pound. I get 100-pound doe. I'm like, that's a big doe.
Yeah. But they were both really, nice deer, good size on them. We took some time. I mean, the neck roast on mine that I took
was
off,
ginormous.
it's the biggest neck roast I've ever pulled off a whitetail. It is gigantic how big this neck roast is.
Probably about a medium to small size tree.
I don't know, but it
Really
was really
small.
big. So, I mean, in short, it started getting good. I mean, I actually put a camera on the scrape and had another buck on it at 4 o'clock that afternoon. We didn't get finished getting Joe's deer all taken care of till about 2:30.
I got all the ribs, all fat from Mama.
And so we ended up not hunting yesterday afternoon, but there was another 7 point and a spike already back on that scrape at 4 o'clock that afternoon. And then yeah, I mean, it's finally turning on. We went this morning.
We saw 2 bucks, a forky, and what was the other one?
Spike, yeah.
And then we saw 2.
No, we saw
3 does.
Yeah.
And we saw 1 identified deer in the back.
Yeah, we saw 2 little bucks.
We were just about to unpack up, and I'm like, yeah, there's a deer in the back.
And so, yeah, we sat. But, I mean, overall, it was a really good week. I mean, we got 2 coolers full of meat, started processing that last night.
Yeah.
Got the back straps all cleaned up, got the tenderloins, got the heart, fat all cleaned up, and start really getting through all that.
We already have a heart chopped up for poppers.
Yep, jalapeno poppers, which is a great recipe.
Best thing you can do with hearts.
I actually have that as a reel on my Instagram. If anybody wants to see what those look like, it's on my personal one, not the podcast one. But so yeah, I mean, we had a lot to cover, and it's just getting good. We got today is good. Tomorrow's not going to be bad. Temperature rises a little bit, but come Thursday, temperatures start rising again. So the morning times might be best, but they're starting to get ruddish in Mississippi. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yep.
Oh, and that's pretty much it. I mean, that's enough. That's 2
Mr. Dale shot a deer the other day.
That was last weekend. That was 2 deer in 2 days.
Yep. 2 deer in 3 days.
Friday to Sunday. Friday was, yeah, I mean, 48 hours. So I call that 2 days.
Okay, whatever.
So yeah, what else you got?
Mm,
You got a tip this week or no?
oh, totally forgot about that. Well, this is just a easy tip. Make sure you have a good wind for wherever you hunt.
Yeah, that's
It's easy, it's simple, but it really helps you sometimes.
it helps you a lot. So I'm gonna guess you have no joke.
I have one, but it's not that good.
Name me one that has been.
Victoria, why does a train always have gum?
Why?
So it can chew.
Yeah, that's about the standard. So yeah, anyway, we'll keep updating. Hopefully the action keeps flowing and we can keep updating on some deer stories. We had a pretty good week. I can't complain. Can you?
And that your deer smashed that tree like you should smash the subscribe button.
Yeah, there's his transitions again. So all right, that's all I got.
Catch you next time.
All right.